Let's take a look at solving a triangle with the law of cosines. Here's an example. Consider a triangle ABC, like the one here at the right. A is 35 degrees. Let's draw that just a little bit larger so we can see it. We've got A to be 35, angle A. Now side B is 35, and side C, notice it's a lower case, is 70. Oops, that's here, right? And we want to find A, B, and C. We want to find side A here. We want to find angle capital B and angle capital C. And then, of course, we want to round all answers to the nearest hundredth. So first we look, and it's easy to know that we're using the law of cosines because that's the name of this topic. However, if you're on an assessment, it's not going to tell you that. So you need to get used to recognizing that what we have is the length of a side, an angle, and the length of another side. So we basically have side angle side information. And when we have that, that indicates the law of cosines, which, as you know, is here. A squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine of A. It's nice that we have this formula because it allows us to just plug in the numbers, right? We know side B is 35, so we just plug that in. Side C is 70, and then 2 times B times C, again, B is 35, C is 70, A 35. So here's our calculation. You can use your calculator for that, and you're going to get an approximation, but be aware. You can't round this here. So let me make note of that. Do not round. It's important to not round yet, because that'll cause a rounding error in process with our problem, and that'll give you a slight error in your answer, and it won't be right. So don't round yet. We want to use this value, and if you go ahead and calculate it and store it in your calculator memory, that'll work just fine. So this is our first step. It gives us side A, so that's going to be approximately 45, etc., etc. Now let's look at the next step. Alright, next we need to find the measure of the angle opposite the shorter two sides, and since B is less than C, we want to solve for B using the law of sines. Okay, now we have our picture here, so that helps us. So remember that using the law of sines, the sine of angle B over the side B is equal to the sine of angle A over side A. See how they correspond there? You know, angle B and side B, those go together, and we just set up a proportion, a ratio. And of course, if we want to find out what angle B is, then we just multiply by B on both sides and get this. Now we can plug in our numbers. We know that B is 35, that's side B, and we know that angle A is 35, and side A is that big number or big calculation from our law of cosines. And then arcsine is the same thing as the sine to the negative 1. Its inverse sine is another way to say it, or arcsine. That's how you read those, and that's like undoing this sine of B. So in other words, here's a little aside. We've got the if we have the sine of B, if we take the inverse sine of that, that gives us just B. And then here's our calculation. Again, this is an approximation, so we don't want to round here. We want to use this formula, our last step. We know that the sum of all three of those angles equals 180. So we just plug in the values from each of those. We know that side or angle A is 35, and then we would actually, if we were to do this calculation and store it in memory, then we could just recall it in memory here, add the 35, and then change that to a negative, add 180 to get this answer. This is the answer we round here, so round this one. And then of course our answers are here. We have B, C, and A. There you have it.